Hello and welcome to the Relax It's Retirement podcast with your host, Josh Leonard, where we talk about transitioning into retirement with intent. I'm Wendy McConnell along with Pete Belcastro. Now, the biggest burning question I think that we need to start off with today is Josh, did you get a haircut?
I did get a haircut.
I knew it.
I did in fact get a haircut. Good observation.
Yes, I've never noticed a haircut before, so you probably went a little bit shorter this time.
I don't know, but yeah, I did in fact near the end of last week, so maybe it's just really fresh.
Maybe.
But
Fresh,
yeah, I got my haircut.
Feeling fresh?
I guess, yeah.
All
So,
right.
it's good. It's not too shaggy. So
Okay. Pete, your hair looks the same.
Thank you, Wendy. I appreciate it. And this was a fresh cut this morning, but you don't have to bring it up. It's okay.
Okay. So we do have a topic today, right? We're not just going to talk about it.
No, yeah, hairstyles.
That's right.
Hairstyles in retirement. We can have graying, white, no hair, whatever the style. We are here to help you. No.
All right.
Today, maybe a haircut can make you feel this way, but we're talking about empowerment. And today, we're talking about financial empowerment through financial planning.
Okay. Sounds good. So tell me what I need to do to feel empowered.
Whenever you start to put a plan together, you put something in place, obviously there's an ultimate goal. And, we have a lot of goals. Different clients have different goals. But one thing that is consistent throughout everybody is we don't want to pay one penny more of taxes than we have to. So what we do for our clients and what we'll be look at doing is tax planning. So we're not talking about doing tax returns or, hey, start adding up and keeping receipts, Wendy. This is a little bit different. It's about getting our ducks in a row to see, what you're doing this year and really, how is that going to, have a ripple effect and maybe what's going to happen in the following years.
Yeah, I think we hear from clients all the time concerns about taxes, or am I paying too much in taxes? Should I be doing Roth conversions? Well, all of those questions can be answered by tax planning, which we think is one of the keys for financial planning and helps empower you by knowing where you stand in your tax brackets. And last week, Pete and Angela on our team were meeting with a client and, went through a really perfect scenario that many of us may run into in life. So it's not this like, do I convert all of my IRA to Roth IRA or anything like that? It's a very practical, real world example. So I thought Pete would share that story today.
Yeah, it's it's a client that just recently retired, and they're kind of feeling the pressure and some of the things that they had as far as outstanding debts. So it's something we can all relate to, but definitely whenever you retire and you start looking at a fixed income, these type of things start to, maybe be a little bit of a more of a sore spot than they were before whenever you could control your income. What they did is they came in, having retired, kind of on the fence like a lot of people are, and finally, kicking off the work boots, and they had some outstanding credit card debt. So it was pretty much the one thing that we saw that might have impeded the retirement here, Wendy. So I'm sure that's something you don't want to hear is that, hey, this thing might send you back to work, right?
No.
Yeah, so nobody wants to hear that, and so they talked about just wanting to get rid of that and saying, hey, we're retired, we're going to take this money out of our retirement, and we're going to pay off that debt and be done with it. And obviously relieving debt is a huge stress reliever, and we don't want to undermine that or diminish that. But once we started digging into it, taking that amount out of their, IRA while you were still working was going to put them up into a new tax bracket. So This is whenever the tax planning really takes full swing, and we get excited, and everybody else gets kind of bored. But once we start digging into it, our tax system's tiered, right? So we all pay the same taxes for the same amount of money. So no matter how much you make, if you made $50,000, we're all paying the same taxes on that same $50,000. But what ends up happening is the more we make, it bumps us up into the next tax bracket. Okay, so the most drastic changes here is going from the 12% tax bracket to the 22% tax bracket.
That's a big jump.
That's a big jump, right? And that might change even this year. We have some tax laws that are going to sunset. But, so whenever we see that big of a jump, 10% more, that can really eat up into your retirement. So what we found is that they were able to, so they were going to end up, they had like $15,000, well, actually almost $20,000 in credit card debt. When we started digging into it, they had a significant amount of cash in an actual outside investment account that we were actually able to leverage that cash that they already had. And we could use part of that cash to pay that off. So we only had a little bit of, maybe about $4,000 left of that credit card debt to pay off. So we started digging into the other options, and they could have taken it from the IRA still. And that would have still bumped them up in the next tax bracket. And they would have probably cost them about $1,500 in additional taxes if they were to use their this IRA. So we started digging into what other assets, and we found that they had a savings account. And we're like, well, gosh, you have the savings account with, more than enough to cover this expense. Why aren't you using that? And it was how they felt. It was that they felt like they needed this security blanket, that this was something that we've always maintained this level. We didn't want to take it down. So once we dug into it, we realized that, hey, we only need a little bit more than $3,000 to pay this off. Your payment every month for this credit card was $1,200. So once we were able to take a step back and say, what happens if you do have this paid off? Well, guess what? You're not going to have that $1,200 a month payment. Your savings is going to be rebuilt in 3 to 4 months. So wouldn't it be better to have this totally paid off right now, have that savings replenished in 3 to 4 months, and not giving the government another $1,500? So that was a big success. I know I talked a lot there, but I think that is really neat, that once you just take a little step back, the easiest thing to do was just to take the money from the IRA that they now had access to. They were using it for income. Seemed like the most obvious choice. And really now they're going to be in a much better position. They're not paying the 10% in additional taxes. They're not taking that money out of the market, that they could be earning more. They're still going to have a significant savings build up. And they're in a great place for next year, whenever this client's going to be fully retired, to take even more advantage of this through tax planning.
Yeah, and I think, Pete, another strategy that we'll use similar to this near the end of a year is straddling the year too. So maybe they're taking their savings down below that comfort rate, but if we can replenish it in January when they won't have earned income from working half the year, they're in better shape, right? We can give less money to Uncle Sam and still pay down the debt, which was their ultimate goal, right? Their ultimate goal was not to withdraw the money from the IRA. It was just to get rid of the credit card debt. So we achieved that and saved them money, which is a win-win. I think when we think about tax planning and sort of fourth quarter withdrawals, we always need to be careful of IRMA or our income-related Medicare adjustments as well. So if we take a whole big chunk of money out near the end of the year, it might cause us to pay more for Medicare 2 years down the line. So we always want to be careful of that. Always want to throw that in as a little disclaimer when we talk about tax planning and withdrawing funds. Again, if you're pulling out of savings, though, that's not going to affect your income. So again, another reason that you may want to look at tapping into savings, even if it's just over the short term.
Okay. So you have another story to tell us, right, Josh?
We do. I was recently meeting with a client, Judy, and Judy, I'd say her case was financial empowerment just through planning in general. We had spent a lot of time together over the years. She's a widow. She was preparing for retirement with her husband, who managed the investments and really was doing all the planning. They had bought a lake house and they were going to spend their retirement there. Unfortunately, he had a deathly cancer diagnosis 2 years prior to retirement, caused him to retire early, and then subsequently he passed away 6 months later. So she was pretty suddenly stuck with this skeleton of a plan where he was the only one that knew all the details. She didn't really know what to do. They had the lake house, which she still enjoyed, but it was a little bit different just being there by herself. When we first met, she was really afraid to spend any of the retirement money. She didn't know, hey, if I take money out to improve the backyard or to fix some things at the house, am I going to run out of money? And she was really living far below her means with the savings that she had. So, we were just reviewing recently and walked through her income for the next year. And she's like, that's like more money than I ever thought I could take out. And all of her income sources, in her case, are renewable resources. So she has a pension, Social Security, and then a guaranteed payout from an annuity. So that doesn't even touch the rest of her retirement savings, where if she wants to take a really big trip or something like that, she can do it. And she felt so comfortable knowing that the guaranteed income she was getting, which is about $70,000, far exceeds what she needs to cover her normal expenses of $50,000. And then still has more money. So when things start to go wrong, if you own a house or a car, things go wrong, right? And you suddenly need a lot more money than you thought you'd need. So much like the story that Pete just went through, instead of needing to go into credit card debt or something else, knowing that you have that money available makes a world of difference. So for Judy in this case, we walked through her income. She was so excited about it. And I was like, when we first met, this was the barrier. Like, how much can I spend, and can I feel comfortable spending it? I'm like, do you feel like we achieved that? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, what else do you want to do? Like, this year she had repaired her back deck at her house, that the wood was kind of rotting and needed to be repainted and fixed up. But that was something she was afraid to do. Okay, so do you have other home improvement projects, anything else? And she goes, well, I've been thinking about taking my kids and their kids on a vacation. She's like, it's something that I've been thinking about for years. And I said, okay, great. Well, we can do that. We need to figure out how much money we're going to spend. And is that going to mean just paying for the accommodations, paying for a flight, paying for food too? Kind of what are the constraints around that as well? And she just, even in this conversation, she was really afraid to make that dollar commitment. She was afraid that, is this foolish? Am I spending too much at once? So we set up the structure of, we're going to figure out this target number by the end of the year and then save every month, moving from one account to the other. So she sees the account for the vacation fund go up. And then in 2 years, when she plans to take the vacation, the money's there. It's available. I set it aside. It's not anything foolish or anything. It's a long-term goal. And she was super excited by that idea. And she followed up with that the suits in Columbus. She previously worked with some advisors in Columbus, Ohio. And she said, well, the suits in Columbus, I could never talk to about things like this. Like, I could never tell them that I want to take my family on vacation. It was just all about the portfolio. And I think that that is something that we hear consistently in our practice is, our previous advisor or another advisor we worked with only talked about being overweight or underweight to international equities, which to most people does not make a difference in their day-to-day life, right? That's not, can I replace my car when it breaks down or when it's breaking down more frequently? Or can I take a vacation? Or can I pay off credit card debt? That means nothing to most people. It might mean something to advisors and portfolio managers, but to most individuals, they're concerned about, am I going to run out of money? Can I do the things that I want to do in life? So this story with Judy was great. And internally as a team, we share these kind of stories of like, hey, this is a cool way that our work has impacted some of the families that we work with. And during our weekly team meeting last week, Pete and I were sharing these stories, and they were like, why don't you guys do a podcast about that? And I think that's it. Sometimes we get lost talking about QCDs or IRMA or RMDs or all these acronyms that I can keep going on forever.
No, thank you.
You could take a nap if you need to, Wendy. But sometimes we need to take it back to the basics of what the planning's for. Certainly, you can buy an investment portfolio online for not too much, but having a relationship with a trusted advisor that helps guide and navigate you through some of these things can really make the biggest difference in your retirement planning.
Absolutely. And you can plan a vacation 2 years ahead of time.
Yeah. And if you're gonna spend a lot of money on vacations or a concert, it's typically good to save up ahead of time.
Well, I have to say, since you so rudely brought it up, that has been paid off. Okay.
Good.
Took a little money out of savings because I didn't think that the interest charge was financially sound. So I took the money out of savings.
I like it.
Paid that off, and then I'm going to make it up. I'm going to make up that money into the savings account.
That's good. So now you have no guilt going to the concert.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. You're wearing off on me, guys. You're making me do financially sound decisions.
There you go.
It sounds like financial empowerment just by listening to the podcast.
Absolutely. And I think that's it, though, is whenever you are transitioning into retirement or, things change with your retirement plan, sometimes it can be uncomfortable just to, start to do something that you like to do. And just through this proper planning, like Josh did, he was able to empower this client to not only do the thing that, this vacation that she wants to do with her family for her family, but she's going to be able to enjoy it while she's doing it. Know that she saved up for this properly. Know that this was part of her overall plan, and this is something good. So that's another thing, is that once you do these things, my example, it's nice that you can save the $1,500, but I think that Josh's example, where there's that tangible result, that this is really what we're doing this for, is that you have this, you can do the things you want to do, and you can enjoy doing them.
Yeah, I think when we work with clients and we set up a plan, it's not about that the plan is going to work exactly as we laid it out. It's more that we have a framework for making decisions in the future. So if your retirement on the day you retire says, hey, we're going to spend approximately this much, and we hope to live until our late 90s, well, we can kind of figure that out with average inflation, average portfolio growth rates, all that kind of stuff. Now, if 3 years into retirement, you decide suddenly I need to start driving a Bentley and living in Beverly Hills, then you're probably going to run out of money a lot quicker, if not on day one. So building out that framework can help us make decisions, whether it is buying a new car. Hey, should I lease a new car? Should I buy it? We thought about purchasing a new home, maybe a ranch or something that's a little bit easier as we age. What should our constraints be around that? How much could we be spending in that? And we can help guide that by having that framework already laid out. Taxes are certainly always going to be a piece of that equation, and balancing that out with what your savings are now and how we can get you to the goal most efficiently. Many times, even with higher interest rates, it might still make sense to take out a mortgage on that house that you're looking at relocating to. Other times, we'll have clients say, hey, should we pay off the mortgage before we retire? And you look and they have like a 2.5% interest rate. And in most cases, the answer is no. At that point, hey, you know what? Let the money grow more than that.
Yeah. So if somebody wants to feel more empowered with their own financial plan, what are some action steps to take?
Yeah, I think one, as Pete highlighted in the first story, let's review your tax plan. Let's figure out that tax plan to make sure that whatever you're planning on, we can adjust appropriately for. Whether it's paying down debt, relocating, maybe it's just knocking some things off of the bucket list like a big trip. Next, we want to make sure that we understand our financial buckets. We've talked about this many times in the past. We need that cash bucket. We need to know that we have money there safely. Even if we're going to spend it down to pay off some credit card debt, we know that we can replenish that, or we'll reaccumulate it over the next month or two. Then we have our income bucket, and that's going to supply us income for the next 6 to 10 years to know that if the market takes a crash like in 2008, or we have a panic like during COVID where it drops really quickly, we have time to let things recover and time for things to normalize. And then finally, we have our growth bucket to help refill the income bucket and that emergency fund or cash bucket over the years. So we have that 3-bucket structure that helps give us some comfort knowing we have something to cover in the ultra short term if it comes up, more than enough income to sustain our lifestyle, and that 3rd bucket, that growth bucket, to be able to replenish the other 2 over time. Having that structure and a plan allows us to build confidence in the plan over time. Now, when we lay out a plan on day one, I think for many folks, maybe they feel like they're a little bit further ahead or a little bit further behind than they were. But over time, through multiple reviews and looking through that, they become empowered over time. It's not an overnight process. I was reminded today, I dropped Yana's bike off at the bike shop nearby, and it's a little less than 2 miles away from our house. So I figured, you know what? I haven't been exercising enough lately. I'm going to run back home after I drop off her bike. So I'll ride her bike down, and then I'll run back home. And through all my bike training, I really haven't ran much this year. So, I started running, and I'm like, oh, man, this is going to hurt a little bit more than the last time I ran, right? But I feel empowered because I've ran way further distances in the past. So I know, hey, pace myself appropriately, take my time, and I'll be just fine. Financial planning's the same thing, right? If we lay out the framework, we stick with the baseline of the plan, we can get to our end goals.
That's it. And you made it home.
I did. And I got a shower, and, I'm not in running clothes, so.
Made your hair look nice.
My hair looks good, too. Yeah.
That's it. The planning, and that planning takes place far in advance. Like you said, that wasn't something that was done, yesterday.
Yeah. I might have thought to run home yesterday, but the actual process of running and feeling confident took many years and much time to do it. I think retirement planning, sometimes we rush into things because, hey, we just want to retire. But keep in mind, you probably worked for more than 40 years to get to that point. So sitting down with a financial advisor a few years ahead of time is really helpful if you're not already working with a financial advisor. At the Leonard Advisory Group, we put together the 7 big retirement mistakes checklist that you can download. There'll be a link in the show notes, so feel free to download that checklist. If you are failing at more than 3 of these 7 items, you need to give a financial advisor a call. Help work through these things so that last 40 years of working pays off through retirement. You don't want to make a costly mistake like we walked through today, not being empowered by your finances, or making costly tax mistakes. Next episode, we'll have Angela from our team on to talk about identity theft. Identity theft has become a larger and larger issue each and every year. More of our clients are receiving notifications in the mail of data breaches. So we're going to talk about some things to do and things to keep an eye out on during that next episode. Pete and Wendy, thanks so much for joining me today. Until next time, remember to retire with intent so you can live your golden years with the happiness and excitement you deserve.